Welcome to How's Your ePresence? This show is produced by ePresence, and I am Mark Galvin, your host. We're so glad you are with us today. What we do here is we try to help out businesses figure out, something about marketing, something about leveraging a website, maybe your social media. As a social media firm, we love talking about that. So we're always trying to give you a couple tips here and there and looking for great guests that can really push that ball down the field. A little bit of analogy since we're in the middle of football season. We always produce new things for our library. So we're growing that library on YouTube and our podcast channel, as well as on Facebook and LinkedIn. And we do it by trying to answer a question. So all of our shows have titles that are always a how-to title. So for example, here's some shows we've had in the past. How to optimize your camera presence. Another one is how to utilize marketing strategy models. One more is how to build a great email list. And we all need to have an email list. Our shows are always live. And so once you get a notification, if you want to join us and ask us a question or two, we love to have that happen. We are always running on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesdays at 10 or Thursdays at 3. And here we are. It's Thursday and it is 3 o'clock. And so we are here again. And Morgan threw this up on the screen. My name's I totally screwed up my name on my screen, so I can fix that on the fly. This is fun. It is important to us that you guys ask a question. If you would like for us to throw a question at our guest, just let us know. We can make that correction, or not a correction. We can throw that guest straight at our guests. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about using social media for marketing success. Wow. Wouldn't you love to know that answer? How about this? Optimizing keyword research for your YouTube channel. And YouTube, and here we are, we're on YouTube. That is becoming more and more important. Did you know YouTube's considered the largest social media channel out there? Yeah, YouTube is actually social media. And one last topic we will hopefully get to is using a layered approach to marketing. We've got a guest that can speak to all of that. But more importantly, at this point, what we'd love for you guys to do is subscribe. If you will, subscribe to our channel. There it is. Hit that subscribe button. Why? When you subscribe, you get notified when we go live so that you can pop in and ask us a question and hear what's going on with our guests. And you can get your questions answered without having to submit them and wait for somebody to respond to you. Good. Let's see. I think I've hit that page. Yes, I have. So let me tell you about who our guest is. Our guest is Michelle Hougland with Paladin Global Marketing. And we talked about that. We went over her company name right before the show, and all of a sudden I had a brain cramp there. So I hope I said that right. Michelle, you'll have to correct me once you come on. Let me tell you a little bit about Michelle. She has years of study and application in the business world. She's a heart of a teacher, but the soul of a passionate entrepreneur. We're bringing her on because she's an expert on online marketing tactics. She knows search engine optimization extremely well. She also knows how to come up and how to really develop digital product creation. She understands e-commerce, which is becoming more and more important every single day. And the last one is private label products. So we will ask her, we'll really drill into some of those and each of those topics if we can in our 30 minutes and give all of you a little bit of perspective of her knowledge. Reminder, if you have a question, send that question in on the fly. I will be happy to share that with our guest, with Michelle, and tell us where you're coming from. If you're just watching, you don't have a question, pop in and just share. Where are you? City, state, even your country. Just drop that into the chat box and we would love to see that. Well, perfect. Well, let's move on. I would love to bring Michelle to the stage. Let's see if we can find her. There she is. Michelle, welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you, Mark?
I am good. I spent a whole half day in training all the way across town. And so my head's a little disjointed. So that was a little herky-jerky start, but nonetheless, I am so glad you're here. you have some great experience. How did you get all this great experience?
Oh my goodness, life,
That's
life.
open-ended, isn't it?
I know, right? I've always been a self-learner. When I was a teenager, my friends were reading, romance novels. Here I am reading Dale Carnegie books. It's just always been within me.
Wow.
And so I love learning about business and helping others. So that's where it began.
Oh, I love that. And you started your own business. How long ago did you start your business?
Oh goodness. So I've had more than one, as I think many entrepreneurs have.
Right.
But the one that we're talking about, Paladin Global Market, it's been for 2 years, although it's based on the premise of what I've been doing for over 17 years, which is
Oh, goodness.
online reselling in general.
Fantastic. So company's 2 years old, but you've been in the space for a long time.
Yeah.
So you're just leveraging your expertise just under another brand.
Exactly.
And I want to make sure I say it right. Paladin Global Market.
You got it. Yes.
Do you ever call it PGM?
That is a good idea. I might have to. I haven't before, but I might.
And only because I don't stumble on PGM. Because you can say not you. I could say Paladin. Do you ever get Paladin?
Always, yes. So you are
Really?
not the first. Don't feel bad.
Um, I worked for a company where the owner, it was named after the company, and his last name was Collinson. And I can't tell you how many people would call as they misread it, call us Collision.
Oh gosh.
And I thought, oh wow, that's quite a leap. Well,
Mhm.
Michelle, let's get into some fun stuff. Why start your own marketing on your own online business? Why? It's a question of what motivated you to start it, but
Mhm.
there's also that why component. Why start your own online business?
Great question. It started 17 years ago. I was, at that time, I was in my dental career for over 15 years, and I was home on maternity leave with my sweet little baby girl. And I had every plan to return back to my work after maternity leave. But when I'm holding this sweet little newborn, I look into her eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't go back to work. What am I
Yeah,
thinking?
why would you? Right.
Exactly, and I'm like, "She's only gonna be this small once," and so it hit me like a ton of bricks, and so that started my frantic search to find something that could replace my income and do it quickly, and that entered my e-commerce and online business world a couple weeks later.
That's just brilliant. And today, in this space of COVID, right? You're ahead
Mhm.
of the curve. There's probably a lot of people who have experienced the last year or so and
Yeah,
have decided, you know what, this working from home thing's not so bad.
yeah.
I can walk my dogs instead of leaving him in a crate all day. I can go have lunch with someone that is a friend. So that's brilliant. You really took control before most people were ready to do that. But here's
Mhm.
what's interesting. How long ago was that? How old is your daughter? Kind of
She's
gives
a senior in high school, she's 17
Wow.
now, I know.
Wow. So 17 years ago, there was some
Mhm.
risk involved
Yeah.
in starting an online exclusive business.
Mhm.
Did you, how did you get in the beginning? How did you start that when, like this, here we are, we're on a video marketing podcast. These types of vehicles were not there. How
Yeah.
did you reach your audience?
Great question. So, when I started, the iPhones were not even invented yet.
Oh my
I
goodness.
I know. I remember having a Palm Trio phone, and I was so excited when I could actually have internet into the phone when I was at my garage sales and auctions and stuff. And that happened a little bit later into it, but the business just started. It was risky, of course. No one was
Yes.
teaching what I was doing. But I was
Right.
desperate to figure it out. And I think that's why I'm so passionate to help others do the same.
Oh, I think that's great. So what was that phone called?
It was a Palm Trio. It was when they had
Palm
the
Trio.
Palm. Yes, the Palm was like the calendar device, but I'll never forget when they actually put it together. I guess it was the smartphone at that point. I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's internet."
And there was no keyboard on that, was there? If I
It
remember
it
right?
was, but it was very hard to hit, or you had to use this little stylus
Little
thing on it.
stylus.
It was
Yeah,
huge.
absolutely. I just want you to know our show's producer, Morgan, is over there Googling that because I'm sure
Yeah,
she's
she's like,
never seen one
"What?"
of those. Um, Actually, I can almost guarantee she hasn't seen it. I'm not going to guarantee she's Googling it. It is amazing where we are with technology and how
Yeah.
our phones have changed. But let's move on to another question. Let's get into social media.
Okay.
When you start talking with business owners and they're looking at social media, what do you feel like they should really remember when they start trying to play in that social media field?
Great question. I think a lot of the times business owners don't they're so busy running their business that sometimes they
Yeah,
forget that online is where it's at, and that's where people are looking before they even step in your door. If you have a brick and mortar business, they're going to look at your reviews, they're going to look at your social platform, and social media is, I think, the biggest thing they forget is they maybe just keep putting up ads and different like stock images. People want to know you, the real person. They want real posts, things that really interest them, and just to remember they're people talking to people
right.
and not just putting up banners and billboards and that type of thing.
And that's a great point. And it is in social, this is such a key piece is that
Yeah,
people do business with people. And
exactly.
when they go onto social, they're looking for more of that personal connection.
Yeah.
So we had a conversation with a client and they're a business and we urged them, if we need to share more content from the leadership of the organization, from
Yes.
real people, their comments, because people will find that much more engaging on social if
Mhm.
that's how you want to post content. And there's all
Right.
different ways to post, but there is a component where, and I always look back at that Apple model. Apple
Mhm.
made us feel
Yeah.
um, in a way that we wanted that product. They really understood how to connect to us emotionally. We have to
Right.
remember that when we start looking at social media. Are there other ways, other key things, anything else on that marketing side for social that you think is really important that, quite frankly, a lot of business owners may miss?
Absolutely. I think sometimes they miss the just the simplicity of it. Sometimes I think we make it too hard and think, "Oh, I
Oh my
just don't know how
goodness,
to
yeah.
do this," or "I'm just not getting the responses." But I have found doing things like asking questions, surveying, really truly not just candid things, but I'm really truly trying to get their opinion on things is a great way to get interaction because people want their voice to be heard. And they also love to celebrate the different things going on behind the scenes with your business as well, like birthdays and that type of thing. They love
That's
to see
good.
that. They feel connected.
Right. Absolutely. We have played around a little bit with surveys and
Mhm.
love them.
Yeah.
I always think this is really fascinating with surveys. I'm sure you've seen this too. There have been companies that ask a survey question that's 100% about trying to sell one of their products. And
Mhm.
people don't like that. Um,
No.
what would that look like? I have one of my favorite coffee mugs here. It has one of my favorite quotes. It says, "What would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail?" So if I was this, isn't that a great quote?
I love
I,
that.
if this company, and I can't remember the name of this, I'm not going to promote them. They're not paying. But let's say I was this coffee company, and I said as my survey, which quote should we put on our next coffee cup? That is absolutely totally self-serving. Now, it
Mhm.
may, and you and I both know, you probably thought the same thing I did. Well, that's actually not a bad idea. It depends on how the company is doing, and we have just lost Michelle. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you could develop surveys. And when Michelle comes back, we'll tap her in. But oh, there she is. Could you hear what I was saying, by the way?
I can. I could hear all of it. Sorry, my
Okay,
camera's
good.
acting a little touchy today.
It's all good.
Thank you.
So how can a company come up with a question that is a good question, good survey question that people want to engage with, yet it doesn't appear like it's entirely self-serving? Do you have any tips on that?
Absolutely. I think when we have to go about it in a way, sometimes our biggest thing when we're doing marketing is we're trying to look at what we're honestly, if we're being honest, we're trying to look at how what we can get out of it. But we need
Right.
to really
Well,
be thinking about
absolutely.
exactly. And so we want to be thinking about how can they be a part of the journey and truly feel like for instance, I just had my next online course. I had two thumbnails that I truly had the graphic artist send, and I really didn't know which one to pick. And I was very interested to see what my audience would put. I put that on there. Oh my gosh, it went like crazy. People, I was like, which one? Help me decide. And people love to get their voice to be heard and truly give
Right.
and feel like they're helping you. So that's some things I have found that has worked really well when you're posting on social.
Yeah. And it's funny, like I was given the example of the coffee mug. It occurred to me as soon as I teed that up, like, you know what, that actually would be a good idea. That would be a super question for them to ask, and
Yes.
people would engage. There are a better example. If I can do this on the
Mhm.
fly, I can do this on the fly.
Sure, you can do it.
Yeah, if you had a salesperson who asked a question and theirs was, what time of day would you like for me to call? Is it better for me to call you at 9 a.m., noon, or at 3? Because I just had too many people hang up on me today. Nobody's going to respond to that, right?
Right.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. And you do, here's the thing. It's difficult to make a decision in a vacuum, right? It's
Mhm.
difficult to make these decisions on your own. So if you can get a team together, throw these ideas around, and
Yes.
everybody can hopefully be honest and say, yeah, I don't like that. And
Right.
listen, especially with the diversity of thought in a room, to
Mhm.
those responses.
That's
Good.
huge.
I want,
Absolutely.
yeah, I want to shift to YouTube. Are you okay if we talk about YouTube a little bit,
Love it.
especially with the
Yes.
YouTube subscribe button over your shoulder?
Oh,
Um,
yes.
how do you optimize keywords for a YouTube channel?
Gr Excellent question. And YouTube is, I think, the most underused free marketing tool out there.
Amen.
But you use the keyword, I reverse engineer it. I like to, there's two ways. You can do one where it's free, where you literally, a lot of people may not realize that although Google's the #1 search engine, YouTube is second. It's a search engine. And so
Right.
if you go in and you enter the words, like, let's just say I enter eBay, and I type that in the search bar, it's going to bring up suggestions underneath. Those are some recently searched suggestions that or titles that people have already entered in trying to solve a problem. So you can do it
Mm,
that way. And I use a free tool that you can upgrade to, and that's Vid Iq. And that's a really great way that it can tell you, it can take it even further and say, okay, your channel, your size, your subscriber count, you can rank for this keyword, or no, the competition is too high, try something else. So those are two
wow.
ways that I like to do that.
I left myself off a screen because I was writing down probably everything you just said. I think that that's
You're
brilliant.
great. Thank you.
When the so you mentioned Vid IQ. Have you
Mhm.
seen really positive results when folks start harnessing this? And if so, what do those results look like?
Excellent results, actually. When I started using that, it was a game changer for me personally, and I've shared it with many of my friends who have businesses on their own. I think a lot of people are nervous to get behind the camera,
Right.
and so I think that holds a lot of people back. But when I started applying vidIQ, the tools and the different things that I've learned from other YouTubers, it was a game changer for me. And although my channel is still growing, as every channel always is, I definitely saw a huge difference as a result of it.
That is awesome. That's really awesome. Do you have is the YouTube channel that you started started using vidIQ still up and running?
It is. It's under the same name, Paladin Global Market. And I
Okay,
teach
great.
about eBay and online reselling.
And so that's your primary space is you do a lot of e-commerce work. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. Now, you and I, here's what's great. You and I met through, there's this great program called
Yes.
podmatch.com.
Yeah.
And if you're a podcaster, you should go check that out. It's a great place to make good connections. And speaking of e-commerce, it's actually really amazing that we can develop this entire network of friends and acquaintances and never actually meet each other except on video like this. It's really unbelievable.
It's
I never
powerful.
would have, yeah, I
I
never
know.
would have guessed this,
Yeah, me too.
just a decade ago. Actually, maybe more like 5 years ago. There's another question I'd love to ask you, and may actually circle back to YouTube.
Okay.
You made a comment about in the pre-show comments about marketing layered approach. What does
Mhm.
that mean? And then how should businesses try to leverage that?
Well, I have to say, I learned that from a marketing consultant many years ago, and then I applied it to my business journey. As I shared, I was in the dental industry for many years and
Uh-huh.
helped with the marketing for that. And that was something that always stuck with me, that marketing is a layered approach. From the time that you, for instance, in dental, you're greeting the patients when they walk in the front door, to the way your communication is to them, to the way you're marketing to other offices, different events, marketing events. You're layering one piece upon another. And it's not just one thing like social media or YouTube or postcard mailing. It all goes together to build a full, healthy unit for your business and getting the word out.
Oh, that's awesome. And when you were doing this, like you were doing this on the at a dentist's office. And I think dentists are really interesting because I think that the marketing can make a huge difference. It can
Yes.
really grow their local practice because they are hyper local, right? They're not
Yeah.
going to get somebody from out of state. So if they're able to focus on that local market
Mhm.
and do all the things you said, they're going to grow their reach and grow their practice. And a lot of referral marketing probably comes from that.
Yeah.
Just curious on the dentist on a dental practice, how much business comes from your current base of patients? Is it a lot of referral base for most dentists?
It depends. So I've
Okay.
worked not only with a general dentist, and a lot of that will come through internal referrals, mainly from, because you're dealing with a lot of families, and you see the mom for a toothache, and then she brings in her husband, and then the kids, and so on,
Right.
and it can grow very quickly that way.
Okay.
With general dentistry, I found postcards and different offers to get the patient in the front door, and then once they're there, taking care of them is really huge.
That's
But general specialty offices, where I spend a lot of my time, where I really cut my teeth on marketing, that comes from nurturing relationships with other referring providers and general dentists. And about 90% of your patients will come through that. So really taking care of them.
wow. Oh, it's just amazing. All right, good. So when you were on when you were doing all these marketing efforts
Mhm.
and you face into YouTube, one of the struggles that anyone has with YouTube is not just coming up with the keywords, it's
Mhm.
taking that first step. What do you tell someone? What is your advice to any business that says, "Hey, I think I need to start up a YouTube channel. I want to." Typically, there's a desire first.
Right.
How should they start a YouTube channel and do it in a way that's manageable?
Excellent question. I think whenever they start that off, they should know pretty much the top 3 questions of their industry that they may be getting asked repeatedly from their
Hmm,
customers, or if it's a dentist, the patients. Start there. Start with answering the most asked questions, and it doesn't have to be very long. And just start somewhere. I think I have my first videos. I just kind of cringe sometimes because my echo in my room was awful. I didn't have this nice Yeti mic, and but I found that just starting somewhere is key to be able to make sure that you're maximizing your YouTube and answering the questions that you may have
right.
from them. And as you can see,
Good.
even my camera is acting up today, guys. I really do apologize. I don't know why it's doing this.
You know what? It's not a problem. Here's what's great is we also drop this as a podcast, and so our podcast listeners will never know that.
They will never
But
know.
but I do love that. So top 3 questions really helps develop that. And do you think it's a good idea for them to hire a consultant or someone who has done it before? Or do you say, hey, just start off and do your top 3 questions and build to that? What works best in your opinion?
I think it depends on how busy they are with their business, how far along
Hmm.
they are. If you have the time, you have more time than you have money, then do it yourself at least to get started. But if you have more money than free time, then hire someone to help fast track that journey for you. There's a lot of free tools online. I love watching Sean Cannell with Think Media on YouTube. He's I've learned a ton of free advice from there, and you can usually get started pretty quickly. Just make sure your audio is the biggest thing with YouTube. You think it was
Huge.
the camera, but it's the microphone.
Yeah. All right. You said Sean, what was that name again?
Cannell, Nnell of Think Media. If you were to just enter in YouTube, you'll see he has a ton of great free content available.
Oh, that's good to know. All right, good. We'll get that in the show notes.
Awesome.
That's great advice, especially because it is easy to get caught up on video and I think you know this because you mentioned that. The first thing that someone should look at, I think, is sound.
Yeah.
Like here's, for example, I'm not bothered that every once in a while your camera is acting, your camera's ready to go home for the weekend, I think.
It's tired. I think I've made too many videos.
I think so. But the sound is good, and you have a good Yeti mic, and the depth of the sound and the way you're able to project, like folks that are on the podcast, her microphone or her camera just act a little funny still there, but I know I can still hear you. The sound is so important. Focus on sound first. Then after you got that sound down, then you can start doing other things like I have a green screen in my office because that's actually a closet behind me. It's just not very attractive.
Perfect.
And yeah, and so you can work into that. But I do think you can start off with sound, and you can just go outside. You can get a microphone that works really well from your iPhone. You could do some video from there. So that's a great way to start. Michelle, this has been great information. Where do you want people to go to find you?
If I can help them out, if they're looking for more online reselling and that type, paladinglobalmarket.com, that's my website. And you'll be able to connect to all of my YouTube channel, my podcast, the different things that I have to offer. I'd love to see you guys there.
That's awesome. And so an important aspect here is your target audience are people who are building e-commerce websites or launching businesses?
Yes, that's my target audience. But out of a love for the entrepreneur and the online business owner, that's why my podcast is a little broader net where I'm just helping to service that industry.
That's great. What's the name of your podcast?
It's a nice long one. I don't know what I was thinking, but Paladin Global Market's online business podcast.
Online business.
Yes.
I love the name. It describes exactly what you do, and I think that makes good sense. That is, we'll also put that as a link in our show notes. Well, Michelle, I love spending the time with you today. We're out of time, which always happens on our shows. We always have a tendency to not have a problem with filling it up with our guests, and you are certainly no different. I so appreciate the time and your tips today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate being on the show. You
bet. And so for the rest of you folks, we so appreciate you being here as well. We are produced by ePresence, and ePresence is a full-service social media agency. What we do is we help companies and individuals get online and stay online. That sounds overly simple. Just remember this: ePresence, social media solved. So we can solve these challenges that you have with social media. With our creative team, we'll come up with that solution for you that'll help you achieve your mission on social. We offer company solutions, individual solutions. That's a neat thing. And a lot of companies, a lot of agencies will work on the company pages, but not the individual pages. Your individual pages, just like Michelle said, really are the way that you're going to connect with your audience. Like, let's talk about LinkedIn. Your executives are connecting to people that are interested in the organization. You've got to make sure those profiles look really good. So we help with that. We also offer consulting and training. And we also have an eForensic service where we help lawyers build the content that they need if they are going into some sort of litigation. If you're a lawyer, you know what I'm talking about. So give us a call, check us out. You can, if you're because you're watching this show, we give every one of our listeners and our viewers a 5% discount. Just go to epresence.me/how's your ePresence, and you can claim that 5% discount. Or go to e-pr.me/listener. And that's also a place. There's the link right there on the screen. You can claim your 5% discount there. How's Your ePresence is everywhere. So if you love this show, and we love that you love this show, we are on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. We always go live. Be sure to subscribe. If you subscribe, you'll get a notification when we go live and can throw us a question. If you're a podcast listener, we're dropping shows every single Friday, and you can find us on all the major podcast apps that are out there, including iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Spotify. And we're dropping all those shows on a Friday. You can also hit our website, go to ePresence.me. That's ePresence.me, because it's all about you. And you go there to find all the places that we're dropping our podcast. Just look for the podcast link there. This show is produced by Morgan Wood. She is our producer, writer, and social media extraordinaire. We always appreciate the work she does. Until next time, for my guest, Michelle Hougland, this is Mark Galvin, and you are watching or have been watching How's Your ePresence?